Alright guys, another video for you. Hanging out on the Hudson. None of you will be able to hear me with the motor going. But here you can see the GPS on the wireless on the Samsung tablet, which is pretty cool. You can see my depth, my speed. You can hear the diesel running. I got a temperature probe going because I was running hot if I get up the throttle. So it's just a little extra stuff. This little project back here is the Belmar alternator. It's in there. That fancy red alternator, that's the next project. We'll talk about that later. But for now, we're going to talk about the GPS and the Autopilot. So here we go. Here's everything. I don't know if I tilt this, it'll stop flickering like that. But one likes to flicker. So this guy's pretty cool. You got wind distance, depth. I got my seat temperature right there. It's a little chilly out today. The Autopilot, which is on right now. If you look up here, it says Auto. This little green on this side and red on that side, for port and starboard, is it'll show you that's degrees of rudder. So right now the rudder is dead center. So that's kind of cool. And this is the setup. This is a little box I made. I got this switch here, which in the middle is this Autopilot. If I go all the way to on, it's this Autopilot down here that came with the boat. It's like a little wheel pilot. Pretty cool, right? It's a Simrad WP32. And then all the way over is off. Off is pretty good to have. I mean, you could hit standby and shut the Autopilot off. Or in an emergency, if you don't look at this, you can shut this off and it'll release the clutch on the linear drive unit. There's our wind overlay, so we see the wind on top. The AIS system down below deck, which is the Raymarine, that overlays as well, but there's no one on the river to look at. And there's multiple pages on here, so you can go through and see a bunch of stuff that I didn't remove. See temp in big letters if you want. Direction. I don't know why my speed and knots isn't coming up on here. Probably have to look at that. Maybe it's not coming from the right spot. So check that out. There's your rudder position. That's great for getting in and out of the marina, by the way. It's awesome. I use that like it's my lifesaver. Having speed. I don't see speed not coming up on there. Weird. Depth. Knots. Heading. Depth feet. Speed knots. Nothing. I gotta look and see why. I don't really know. I didn't really follow into it. I don't really care because it says it right there. I usually just keep it like that. And now below deck, put our motor down here. Show you the Autopilot in action. So this piece of plywood is marine grade plywood from Lowe's, which I used Total Boat and West Systems. I used the stringers. You see the stringers? I ground down the stringers with 80 grit sandpaper on a flap disc. Alright, made it nice and coarse. Then I put 610 epoxy down, real thick and heavy on both sides. Then I took this piece of wood. I did a double layer of mesh on top, fiberglass. So I did double layer of mesh. First I coated the whole thing with Total Boat epoxy. Then I did a mesh on, double mesh on the bottom, double mesh on the top. These are recessed into the bottom so they don't hit, because that's exactly where it needed to be on the stringer. Bolted it down, and then I used a chop strand epoxy, and I chop strand it into the boat. So the chop strand goes up there. See, it comes all the way up and comes up and over and flaps over the whole thing. Now I built this little guy for the arm over here, and I got an Ericson Marine arm on the tiller. I had to cut the spacer. As you can see, that's the spacer right there. That's it right there, and you can see it going. It doesn't move much at all. It is way smoother than the wheel pilot. You know, the wheel pilot's all over the place trying to hold the head in with the wheel, but this thing's no problem. So that's it, guys. Now I'm gonna go turn around and I'm gonna try to sail this back to my marina with just the head sail and messing around with that. So have a good day, and we'll be back soon. I'll show you that alternator going in. Bye.